My 3.5-year-old daughter died suddenly and unexpectedly. My 3.5-year-old daughter died 1 month ago. It feels surreal. She was a perfectly healthy child. Here's the story. It started on a Tuesday afternoon. She came home from daycare, after apparently having a great day, and said her head hurt and she had a sudden fever of 103.5. My husband decided to take her to the ER. They evaluated her and sent her home, as her fever came down with medication. She ate dinner and seemed okay, but then started vomiting. I took her back to the ER at 8 p.m. They saw her again and then had me wait around to recheck her due to a high heart rate. She threw up several more times, every 20 minutes or so, but also drank a lot of water and peed. She eventually stopped vomiting and fell asleep at 11 p.m. We finally saw the doctor around 12:30 a.m. and he checked her whole body, no rash, and her neck, which was good. She seemed okay, other than being tired, and the vomiting had stopped. We both thought it seemed viral and she was sent home. We got home around 1 a.m. The next day, she was very tired and sleepy. She slept most of the day, while I worked from home. I checked on her every 30 to 45 minutes. She drank 2 small bottles of Gatorade, peed, and responded to me when I talked to her. She just seemed tired. At 3 p.m., she got up off the couch, beside me, and peed on the potty in the bathroom. I brought her back and she went back to sleep. Then at 3:50 p.m., she said she had to poo. I brought her, she had diarrhea, and when I went to change her under the light, I noticed her skin was a bit blotchy. I then started observing her symptoms more closely and she seemed unwell. Her hands were cold, her breathing was a bit fast, intermittently, and she just looked unwell. After calling my husband and doing a bit of research, she moved from the couch onto the floor, and I had a bad feeling and called 911, as I didn't have a car at home. My husband ended up coming home before the ambulance arrived, even thought it had been almost 30 minutes, so I took her myself to the closest ER. We got there at 5 p.m. They saw her immediately and seemed concerned. They took her back and started and gave her fluids and antibiotics. Her vitals were good and she seemed stable. They said they were going to admit her, but she had to be transferred to the very well-regarded Children's Hospital. Because she was stable, it was not an emergency. In the ER, I noticed small bruising and red dots appearing on her skin, which I now understand to be early signs of DIC, severe blood clotting. She was transferred to the Children's Hospital at 7 p.m. and it did not seem urgent, the driver barely used the siren. Just before we got in the ambulance, I asked the doctor about her blood test results and the doctor said that they indicated sepsis, but on presentation, she did not appear septic. Apparently her blood pressure collapsed in the ambulance, unbeknownst to me as I was up front with the driver. When we arrived at the Children's Hospital, around 7:30 p.m., she was in septic toxic shock, so they sedated and intubated her and transferred her to the ICU. They recommended that my husband come, which he did, and then they asked us to go in a waiting room while they set her up in the ICU. At 10 p.m., the doctor came into the waiting room and told us there was no easy way to say it, but she was probably going to die, as they couldn't get her blood pressure up. I didn't believe him. After my husband was able to see and talk to her, just after 10 p.m., her blood pressure suddenly came up. They said it was a good sign and it could go either way. We stayed beside her all night hoping she would make it. Her test results seemed to stabilize. We were so hopeful. However, around 3:30 a.m., the latest set of blood tests came back indicating her organs were failing, pH dropping and lactate rising. They told us she was going to die. Her heart stopped at 6:30 a.m. while I held her in my arms. It felt surreal. After the fact, her blood results indicated that she had group A strep. The illness is called streptococcal toxic shock syndrome. Basically a very rare occurrence where an invasive form of strep A enters the bloodstream and causes a biological storm in certain, otherwise healthy, people. There is no way to predict or prevent it. In some cases, likely hers, it is so fast and aggressive that even early intervention cannot stop the disease progression. Likely once the first visible symptom of sepsis appeared, it was already too late to stop. Apparently this type of severe strep A illness is on the rise in recent years, since COVID, with higher pediatric deaths in many countries. My husband and I are obviously devastated. We do have 2 other children, so that keeps us going. The point of this post was just to share the story and the fact that sometimes you can, seemingly, do everything right, and you still cannot prevent loss. It is a really hard pill to swallow. For those who have kids, please hold them tight. You never know when it may be the last time. Red Heart Hash.